Hey there, I'm Billy, the Burning Anchor, and welcome to Anchor Down. Unlike other game reviews, I'm not here to give out grades. I don't consider myself a teacher by any means, just a gamer who knows what he likes. I'm here to discuss what I enjoyed, what didn't quite land, and whether or not I'd recommend a wondering gamer if I would recommend it. So, let's anchor down and dive right in. Released on February 18th, 2025, Lost Records Bloom and Rage is a narrative-focused adventure game published by Dontnod and developed by their Montreal division, with Tape 2, an episodic continuation of the story to be released on April 15th, 2025. The game is available on Windows, Xbox Series X and S, and PlayStation 5. PlayStation Plus members can grab it for free, but if you're not a subscriber, it is available at a base version price of $39.99 USD or with a soundtrack for $49.99 on all platforms. Regional pricing is in effect. Purchasing the game now will include Tape 2, which releases later in April. No stranger to narrative-heavy games, Dontnod Montreal is best known for its previous works, Life is Strange 1 and 2. After their latest release being Life is Strange 2 in September of 2018, Lost Records started development in 2020 and was announced at the 2023 Game Awards, promising a fresh, episodic format that feels similar to the studio's previous hits. Citing a striking resemblance to the critically acclaimed Life is Strange games, fan sentiment was generally excited for the release. The return to more episodic-based releases from Dontnod in general was praised by the fans as well, and appreciated by the studio, with director Michelle Coe stating that it will give us a space to let the events of the story sink in and possibly bring the community together to theorize about what will happen next. Lost Records follows the colloquially known walking simulator genre of game. We control the main character, Swan, directing her to make dialogue choices, interact with items, and reminisce on past events, to the point of controlling her during these recollections of the past. We also gain control over a video camera, a mainstay in the story where we're tasked with recording events, items, and people to build up our memoir collection. Since this is a narrative-driven game, the gameplay mechanics aren't overwhelmingly dense. These mechanics exist to further immerse you in the story, allowing you to deepen your friendships, feel involved in the environment when you're looking around idly for something, or catch something on film that you think is interesting, and you can bring these up in conversations later in the game. Overall, the gameplay involves controlling the past and present through dialogue and actions that shape Swan's relationship and memories. Since exploration and interaction are at the heart of the genre, it's up to you, the player, to determine what should and shouldn't get done. Games with a narrative focus have priority on providing a good story. Lost Records delivers amazingly on this front. Something that Dontnod never fails to capture is a sense of realism in their tales. The setting changes from the dingy backwater bar you grew up near to transporting back over 25 years into the mid-90s when video ruled and the most fun you could have in an afternoon is just messing around your friend's garage. The characters feel, and more surprisingly look, real. Each character has their own personality, way of reacting to events, and life. This is one of Lost Records' strong suits, keeping the characters both interesting and consistent. While players of Dontnod's previous titles have complained about notable dialogue that's cringy, you will continue to find that here. However, it's real. You won't hear a white-haired badass demon-slaying protagonist saying stuff like this,
Sup, comrades?
but you would hear a nerdy, lonely, and socially awkward girl saying it, which is why you do. During the ever so important dialogue options, the game allows players to stay silent, wait for a more opportune moment in the conversation to speak, or allow enough time to progress to unlock a new dialogue option. This gives players an immersive level of agency on how they want the story to develop, because while you may not make a game-changing decision when asked what your favorite music is, it allows you to put yourself in as the character and answer exactly how you want them to and connect with the game and the characters you see and interact with. Style, just like story, is abundant in Lost Records. As stated, the transfer in and out of reminiscing over your character's past is not only highlighted by the change in camera framing from first to third person, but also by the clear change in how the world is. The atmospheric soundtrack sinks you into the 90s framing, from the VHS rental stores to the cluttered bedrooms. The art and design of every single level is endearingly made and place you inside the world and so many things to experience and record. For performance-related aspects, these are the minimum and recommended settings provided by Dontnod. Lost Records seems to rely heavily on shaders, so I recommend a strong CPU in addition to a GPU if you'd like to run it on higher settings. Personally, I was able to run the game on the highest possible settings with only a few dips under 144 frames. I had no problems other than struggling for a few seconds every now and again, and nothing really of note in terms of crashing. It is possible to expect an optimization patch eventually, or some form of update when the second tape releases, but there is an in-game pseudo-benchmark feature, so you don't have to load fully into the game before making sure your settings work for you. Since most of the game occurs while the player is invested in the story, it needs to include features specifically designed to ensure all players can actually be satisfied with said story. At the start of the game, players are made aware that a content warning for the game is available, an optional check that will send players to an online list with incredibly minimal spoilers. Once declined, it won't ask you again. Text languages have a wide range from English to Brazilian Portuguese, but only offer English or French voice languages. Subtitles, however, are turned on by default and customizable with size and background. Controllers and keyboard and mouse are supported with remapping features for both, and vibration is a toggleable option. There are motion sickness options since you will be hopping in and out of first-person mode frequently when using your camcorder's exclusive sensitivity and inversion settings for both input type of first and third-person moments. The interface itself can have text size changed to small, the default medium, or large, and a reticle is included for off-screen speakers but can be turned off. The audio settings are relatively standard for just volume, but include mix presets specifically for dynamic range based on the audio output device you are using. You can also turn off copyright music if you happen to be streaming or recording for YouTube, but I highly recommend keeping it off for at least one playthrough. The video settings are rather detailed, allowing the player to set the best possible look at the best possible performance for their machine, as well as another toggle for general effects like motion blur, shaking, and smoothing. Unfortunately, there is no option for a colorblind mode or filter, and no on-screen narration, which may be a downside for some. When in-game, you will be reading things such as items or books, and while the handwriting may not be the most legible, there is always an option for text to be displayed normally, as if in a menu. At the time of recording, Lost Records on Steam currently has over 1,100 reviews, with 93% positivity for a very positive total. On the PlayStation Store, it currently holds 4.5 stars with over 3,700 views. For my final verdict, Lost Records Bloom & Rage Tape 1 is a total buy. I will say this game is definitely more suited for those more interested in a compelling story rather than action gameplay, but it will not disappoint if you're willing to give it the chance it deserves. The story and emotion that Don't Nod can deliver is incredibly rich, and even at a slower, contemplative burn, is a must-buy for anyone even remotely interested. Thank you for watching. I'm Billy, the Burning Anchor, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of Anchor Down. If Lost Records Bloom & Rage piqued your interest, check the description for the links to see for yourself. I'll see you next time when we put our anchor down.